The following program is intended for mature audiences.
Down to 10. Here's Stastny. Hit by Marchessault. Scheifele to the puck. Time winding down. 227 days after their first regular season game in franchise history, the Vegas Golden Knights are headed to the Stanley Cup Final.
He's standing in front of the net with about 8 inches of his shaft in his hand.
You're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes.
And check out every episode of the show at basicallysports.tumblr.com.
Now here's your hosts, Zach,
Greg, Mike.
And you're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
This is our darkest timeline. God has left us. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Vegas Golden Knights of Nevada via Clark County are the Western Conference champions in the NHL edition of Basically a Sports Show. Go, boys.
I hate this sport. I hate the people who run this sport. Why am I a fan of hockey? What did I personally do to deserve this? I don't think I'm a good person. I try to do good things.
Yeah.
What did I do? Why?
Because as you said, Mike, God has left us.
God has left us.
So yes, here we are in a world where a team that literally did not exist this time last year
12 months ago, they had no roster.
They're playing for the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
The whole world is coming to an end.
Look, I don't know about you guys, and I know people might write this off as me being hyperbolic. I don't care. This is legitimately how I felt after it happened, and I don't know if, and I haven't really changed all that much. It hasn't really softened yet. I think I might need to walk away from hockey for a while.
Really?
Maybe a season or two. Maybe just I just need to get, because look. All right.
This is a harsh reaction.
How do I'm trying to think of the best way to say this. Look, I could point out that every expansion team since 1990 up to the Vegas Golden Knights has gotten retroactively screwed. I could say that, and it would be correct, but I think that's thinking too small, because every single one of us who has had to sit through years of our team struggling to put it together, and none of us here, hell, not even our departed friend Andy, he was a fan of a lot of those bad Blackhawks teams. All of us know the feeling of watching futile season after futile season as rebuilds are attempted, as new directions are tried, as new signings are, heralded as the one thing that'll fix it, and it almost never works, and we stick by our teams.
Except in the case of the New York Rangers, where it never works. Not almost never, but never works.
Time after time, and I anyone who's listened to the show will know, that I've had the opinion of the last couple of times the Leafs have made the playoffs of, just getting here is an accomplishment. And that wasn't me trying to put a positive spin on an early playoff exit. That was legitimate. After the years and years of bad hockey the Leafs have gone through, making it to the playoffs and losing in 6 to Washington and losing in 7 to Boston is legitimately feels like an accomplishment, because given where this team was just 5 years ago, that is them scraping and clawing to get to that point, and that's worth celebrating, and that's worth feeling good about. And and for all of us who have gone through that, to see the league essentially hand this team a contender right off the bat, and to have them just go to the Stanley Cup Finals, just waltz through the rest of the Western Conference, beat,
good teams.
Beat good teams, beat what was probably the best team in the league in the Winnipeg Jets this season. I know Washington won. I know Nashville won the President's Trophy, but by and far, I think we saw that Winnipeg proved they were the better team. So I think it's not just frustrating. And people, say, "Oh, you got sour grapes," or "You're jealous." Yeah, I am jealous. I'm jealous, and I think I have good reason to be jealous. And it's kind of at a situation where I go like, look, me personally as a fan in Canada, the league constantly took advantage of not only me, but other fans like me. Zach mentioned it last week. Why does the NHL see Vegas as a better market than either Winnipeg or Quebec City? Oh, because they just take the fact that Canadians will watch hockey regardless for granted. And you go through that mindset so long. You go through those years of Leafs teams on my end that were just god awful from like the middle of the 2000s to like the middle of the 2010s, where it was just this decade plus of wretched hockey. And you saw them trying to put it together and win. And then they finally do, and it gets to the point where, a first-round playoff exit still feels like an accomplishment. And then you see what the league just gives Vegas. Just gives them. Just gives them for the sake of money and for the sake of proving a point that they can make hockey work in the desert. It's disgusting. And as a fan, I'm at the point, literally, where I don't know if this will stick. Maybe I'll feel differently by the time next season rolls around. But I am at the point right now where I'm kind of like, what do I need this abuse for? I mean, the Jays probably aren't going to win the World Series anytime soon, but at least baseball doesn't actively take me for granted. At least baseball doesn't, give the fucking Florida Marlins the 67 Yankees teams year one. Like,
well, to be fair, the 67 Yankees were terrible, but yeah.
Sorry, I got
27 Yankees.
27, sorry, yeah, 27 Yankees.
I have a legitimate question about this, okay?
But that's how I feel. That's how I feel. I'm at a point where I just need to maybe get away from hockey for a few years. Just,
on the boards, McCarthy brought up what I thought was a very good point. He said that you guys are saying that they were handed a competitive team. And what we had been saying all along is that going in, we thought a run at maybe the eighth and final playoff spot would be the best the team could do. And McCarthy said that it's because that was the safe bet. No one wanted to say, hey, this team's actually pretty damn good. Did we miss the boat? Were they really as good as they look? And we just went kind of like, it can't be possible. They can't be this good.
I think that's part of it. Like at the beginning when the expansion draft happens, let's start there. Way back at the beginning. Even before the expansion draft, when we look at the rules that are given out and people start seeing what players they could possibly get from teams, because of what we know of previous expansion teams, we all say, this team's probably going to be bad. There's no way an expansion team is good. It's not how that never happens in hockey. And then, you kind of people look at it for a little bit longer and they start figuring out, well, maybe they'll get the expansion rules are better than most. Maybe they'll get a couple decent players. They'll be okay. But they'll still be in the bottom tier of the league. Then they get the players and it's kind of, well, all right. This is a team that maybe, with Marc-Andre Fleury, if he plays well and they have some okay depth, maybe the veteran scorers that they picked up that that we've heard of and know can score, maybe at best they'll compete for a playoff spot. But It's just, it's exactly as you say. I think it's because we've never seen any of this before. So from all of our previous experiences with expansion teams, there was no possible way anybody could have picked otherwise. And, and that's why you saw the odds that are being thrown around this week that it was 500 to 1 or even 100, 100 to 1, even 500 to 1 that they wouldn't, that they could make the Stanley Cup final. And at the time, that's probably right because nobody knew. Now you go back and look at how things have gone and you kind of are able to look at things in hindsight and realize, okay, well, what actually happened here? And you see what it is. The success of this team, what it almost brings to mind, and the same sort of anger I have towards it, is the mid-2000s Nashville Predators teams that for ages I hated because they were just a bunch of dudes and a pretty good goaltender. But they were a bunch of dudes that all came together to play some decent hockey, right? And so it's like this team doesn't have any discernible stars. Like there's no how are they? They're just beating you through sheer depth and team play, which you could argue is good hockey, and it probably is, and that's good coaching and all that. But it's also frustrating as hell when you're on the other side of it because you think that you, with your better players, your better record, you should be beating this team every single time you play them, but because of hockey. Or just, the concept of a team, this kind of intangible thing, it works. And now you have that with Vegas where, yeah, there is a bunch of guys, but they also got a Stanley Cup champion goaltender in Marc-Andre Fleury. They got the Florida Panthers literally gave them two of their top line players, Riley Smith and Jonathan Marchessault, because the Panthers are fucking idiots.
Well,
so you get all these things that just kind of we all underestimated them because we all thought that based on previous experience, there's no way that they could be good. They had to be bad.
A couple other things too.
They just keep defying logic.
Well, two things. First off, in their defense, well, not in their defense, but one, I don't think anybody saw, and this is one that's kind of like close to my heart, William Karlsson going from a 6-goal-a-year scorer to scoring 43 goals this year. You get a guy, but I don't know how many of their other players went way above what their median type season was. But I think you had a lot of that.
More than a few.
But the point is, and I've watched this team a lot now throughout the playoffs, they're good. I mean, there's nothing fluky going on here. And I understand when people say they were handed a cup contender. No one saw it coming because, like you said, I don't think anyone believed for a second that even the best expansion team could do what these guys are doing. It just doesn't compute because you go to an expansion draft. I don't care how liberal the rules are. You're not going to be able to put together a team that, let's be honest about it, has dominated in the playoffs. It just doesn't happen. But here we are.
They've lost 2 games.
Yeah.
2 games.
3, I thought.
Three games.
Three? Yeah. Okay.
They lost game 1 of this series, and we were like, hey, they finally met their match in Winnipeg, and then, oh, wait a minute.
Right.
No.
Right. They played 6 against San Jose. That's right. So 3.
But it's remarkable in the sense that nobody saw it coming, and I think part of it, McCarthy is exactly right, is that no one wanted to say, because if you come out and go, this team's good enough to make a strong run in the playoffs, and then they come out and they win 15 games all season, and they score like 60 points for the season, you look like an idiot.
Well, I think what McCarthy's saying too is not that people were afraid to say that at the beginning of the season, because at the beginning of the season,
clear early on though, is what he was saying, that like by 10 games in, you could tell these guys were legit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think early on you could still say, okay, well this is small sample size, that their defense still isn't very good, and the home ice advantage, they'll crumble. It'll eventually go away. And to their credit, their defense is still their weakness. You look at the roster as it is, and the defense is still the weak link of this team, but they've managed to put together a game plan as such that the forwards press and are aggressive and control the play, and Marc-Andre Fleury has been solid enough to shore up any holes defensively, and no team has been able to hem them into their own zone to take advantage of that defensive lapse. And So now we're here with them sitting in the fucking Stanley Cup final.
The only thing it's I can't believe it. I mean, part of me is like, wow, this is pretty amazing. And I think to the casual observer, it probably is. Until you start taking a real solid look at it and you go, it's still surprising. I mean, there's no way around it, even with
of course,
all the rules and everything. But
as much as I sit here and whine and bitch and moan about it all, I wish I could remove myself from the place I'm in as a diehard like this, to be able to see it as the good story that it is, because it's amazing, it's improbable, it's incredible. It's downright fucking impossible.
But that's my point. Is it though, really? Because when you really
it's not
as improbable as it looks, is what I'm trying to say.
It's not as improbable when you realize the player, like, give me one expansion team in the last, since 1990, that got a goalie as good as Marc-Andre Fleury.
Right. Well, yeah. There's definitely things to point at like that, but
yeah, I think
still,
the Jackets it was either Steve Mason or Steve Shields. I don't remember which one.
But still, to think that any team could just be thrown together and compete for a Stanley Cup is insane.
And they're not even competing. I mean, it's one thing if they were on even at their talent level, some sort of crazy Cinderella run, but that's not what's happening. They have dominated. I mean, they have just blown the doors off every team they've played so far.
Completely. And that's why when people are trying to refer to this as some storybook Cinderella thing,
no,
it's not that. It has not been that since day one. You know, aside, they ended up not winning the Western Conference in the regular season, but they were still one of the top three. They led the Pacific Division pretty much wire to wire, I think. And they're still here as Western Conference champions now. So no matter what the regular season record says, they are the Western Conference champion.
How many
times? They're the best team for the Western Conference.
Throughout the course of the season that we would check in and go, hey, they're still in first place. How about that? This is cute. How many times did we do that? And then all of a sudden you're going, wait a minute. And now it's just, at first I was like, I don't get why NHL hardcore fans are so angry about this. Then I started thinking about it, and I totally get it, because, I mean, I wasn't a Blue Jackets fan at the time the team was created. I was still a Rangers fan, but that team was horrible. I mean, just horrible. It was like watching the Rangers, when I went to see them play their first season, it was like watching the Rangers play an AHL team. It was that bad. They weren't any good at all. And
I want to go through some numbers just to kind of outline that sort of stuff, just to show why again, that there's many NHL fans that hate that a team just comes out of nowhere to do this. The Carolina Hurricanes have not been to the playoffs in 9 seasons. Buffalo Sabres have not made the playoffs in 7 seasons. Arizona in 6 seasons. Vegas did it all in their first year. The Florida Panthers have gone 21 seasons without winning a playoff series. The Columbus Blue Jackets have never won a playoff series in their 17 years as a franchise. The Maple Leafs have not won in 13. The Sabres haven't won a series in 11 seasons. The Avalanche haven't won in 10. Hurricanes 9. Vancouver 7, and on down the line. Teams that haven't even made it to the Stanley Cup Finals. Arizona, as the Winnipeg Jets or the Coyotes, have never made the final. The Winnipeg Jets, as the Thrashers or Jets, have never made the final. Columbus has obviously never made the Stanley Cup Final. Minnesota has never made the Stanley Cup Final. The Maple Leafs have not made the Stanley Cup Final in 50 seasons. The St. Louis Blues have not made the playoffs in 47 seasons. The Coyotes having never made it as the Jets or Coyotes, that's 38 seasons. The Islanders haven't made it since they won 4 cups in a row, 33 seasons ago. The Montreal Canadiens, the most storied franchise in all of hockey, 24 Stanley Cups to their record. Haven't made the Cup Final in 24 years.
Wow.
The Maple Leafs have not won the Cup in 50 seasons. The Blues have never won the Cup in their 50 seasons. The Buffalo Sabres have never won the Cup in their 47 seasons. Neither has Vancouver in their 47. Washington has never won 42 seasons. Philadelphia won back-to-back, but they haven't won.
Yeah, that was way back in the 70s.
74, 75,
yeah,
42 seasons.
I mean, way back.
Coyotes, 38 seasons.
Yeah.
Islanders, Flames, 34, 28. Oilers, the vaunted Edmonton Oilers dynasty, has not won a Stanley Cup in 27 seasons. The Sharks, Senators, Panthers, Predators, New Jets, Blue Jackets, Wild, have never won the Stanley Cup. And I guess, neither has Vegas, but they can.
Yeah.
It's just, you look at all those numbers and you think about all those teams and all the things that all of those teams have gone through. And Vegas just kind of like every single, to play on the team, every single bet they've put down has paid off. Every person they picked in the expansion draft, every move they made around the expansion draft to acquire picks, to, acquire cap space, to make sure that they did pick a player, that they didn't pick another player. That has all worked. They lost their goalies to injuries at the beginning of the season. Somehow that still worked. They made a pretty bad trade, at the trade deadline for Thomas Tatar to get a guy that they already had like 6 of, and they gave up 3 first-round draft picks. Well, it still hasn't hurt them yet.
No, the first-round picks will have their effect eventually.
Yeah, Ryan Reeves is the guy that they pick up from Pittsburgh. Didn't do jack shit for them. He was garbage. He took too many penalties. Scores the game winner, the conference final winner.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing to say that this has been so improbable and impossible, but literally every gamble they've taken has paid off for them. That never happens to anybody, because you look at all these numbers and you can, with your Maple Leafs, Mike, you can name dozens and dozens of bad moves that they've made or things that have gone against them. The St. Louis Blues can do the same. The Coyotes have been garbage for years now. And you don't think that teams like Carolina, like Arizona, like Buffalo would love to just press reset and get an expansion draft?
I'd love to see the Blue. I was going to make the joke in the thread. I wish the Blue Jackets could hit reset and start over, even though they're pretty good now, because I get the anger. I mean, I don't think I feel it as strongly as hardcore fans do, but I certainly understand it, because it sure looks like these guys are, some of it you've got to give them credit for taking advantage of what was presented to them, and that's fine. But why did they get handed a sweetheart deal in this whole thing?
Yeah, there's definitely, and people are also trying to say that it's all revisionist history, and to an extent it is, and the people are discounting the moves they've made. No. Everything that George McPhee has done, again, were gambles, but they've worked. Gerard Gallant obviously has pushed every single button correctly as the coach of this team to get them to where they are now. If they had picked up any other coach, who knows if they'd even make the playoffs, right? But he's done the right things to get them there.
See, but I don't know. I know what you're saying, and I get it. But when I watch this team, they're too good to be a team where everything just went right for. There's more to it than that, because this is a good hockey club.
Sure, but that's what get back to the original, the start of this whole thing. When people said that, maybe this is a team that could compete for a playoff spot, it's obvious that they were a little bit better than even that. But the difference between being the 7 and 8 seed and being a top seed and being the Western Conference champion is stuff like that, is things going right for you. They haven't had, besides the goalies at the beginning of the season, they have not had any major injuries. Their coaching, they got the right coach to put them into the style that is making them succeed to their best. They're playing fast. They're playing aggressive. That's a Gerard Gallant thing. Again, the trades, you look at the up and downs of the lineup, a lot of these guys were on short contracts because they all expected, or George McPhee, the GM, expected to be able to, or have to trade some of these guys at the deadline. I don't think somebody posted a quote, in some article from the owner, Jim Foley. And this was around the time of the expansion draft. Maybe it was the day of the expansion draft. He said something to the effect of, we expect to be competitive in 3 years and contend for a title in 5 to 6.
6, yeah.
Well, even the people in the organization, I guarantee even the players on the roster, there is no fucking way that any single person on this planet Earth thought this was legitimately possible. Even the people that put down the bets at 500 to 1 or 100 to 1, those were flyers. Those were,
sure.
Would this be cool? No one had thought that, hey, people are sleeping on this. This is a cup contender. I don't think there was a single person that
there wasn't a single person who said that. But again, it was because we were all going off of past experiences. We had no idea how to deal with any of this. And so that's why I disagree with it. No, it's not revisionist history because, yes, everyone predicted that this team would amount to little. No one predicted this team was going to go to the Stanley Cup, was going to get this far. But you know what? It's not revisionist history to say this team was this team was handed a cup contender right out of the gate. Because in retrospect, it was obvious they were. A lot of us, most of us, I dare say all of us, just didn't see it or say it because the very notion seemed absurd to us.
Right. And I will say this.
So nobody, and I'm not, obviously I'm not saying either of you two, but I'm just saying generally, don't give me this, oh, you didn't believe in them in the start of the season, and now you're saying they were handed a cup contender. No, fuck you.
No,
person.
Nobody believed in them.
No, I can't. I mean, I can't think of anyone. And believe me, as much as we talked about this stupid team before it was even awarded, about how we didn't want a Vegas team, and then when it happened, I mean, we had shows where we would actually say, we're not going to talk about the Vegas team anymore. So we've been pretty knee deep in this thing from the beginning. And we would have caught someone saying, this team's a cup contender, or this team, no one was saying that. No one. Mm-hmm. Not a single soul. Except one person. Marc-Andre Fleury said, why wait 6 years? He was the only guy. I don't know when he said that, but he did say at some point this season, why wait 6 years? So you can give him that, I guess. But that's, he's a player. Of course he's going to say that. But
what's he going to say? Oh, we're going to be terrible?
Right. Yeah, he's not going to say anything but why. But yeah, I wish there was a Cinderella aspect to it, but like I said, the more you look at it, the more you realize there's not much Cinderella going on here.
Yeah,
they were handed the keys of the kingdom basically, and they took full advantage of it. And I mean, good for them. That's what you're supposed to do.
They were. I mean, yes, of course. What are they not going? What are they going to do? Not take advantage of the situation presented to them? That would be stupid. So
right.
No, there's like. So yes, they took advantage of what was presented to them. At the same time, however, what was presented to them was stupid. What was presented to them was done in bad faith by a league that valued money and proving a point over the sanctity of their own team's rosters, over the sanctity of sport. As we talked about a few weeks ago, this essentially sets the precedent that, hey, we found a winning blueprint to print money with with endless expansion fees. Because, hey, are you a billionaire? Do you want a championship contender year one? Well, we know how to engineer it. Give us $500-600 million. So
I'm kind of fearful for what the reactions are going to be when Seattle comes around, because it's hard to say that. Yeah, they've already said that they're basically given the same expansion rules, but and you would hope that teams going through this the second time won't make the same mistakes as, say, like Florida did. I don't think there's any way to expect that Seattle team to be as good as this team.
No,
they'll be good probably. I mean, not this good.
I mean, at the end of the day, like, even teams of mouth breathers like the goddamn Panthers upper management will be able to say, hey, maybe we got fleeced, and might
maybe
be able
we
to
shouldn't give away a 30 score.
Here's the thing.
but I guess what I'm saying is that even if every
good teams aren't this good,
well, no, exactly. And what I'm saying is that even if even if with Seattle, even if every GM closes ranks and they're like, nope, we're not gonna play that game. At the end of the day, the rules will still exist to ensure a team made up of the seventh best player on every roster and at least one, championship caliber goaltender, and that's more than anyone else ever got aside from Vegas.
Yeah, well, I think Seattle will definitely get a goalie because someone always has a backup that they can't hold on to. But I think teams will be smart and not. I think if anybody's smart, they will refuse to make any deals with that team. Mm-hmm. Because the ones that made deals with Vegas are the ones that have kind of made this whole monster work.
Well, I don't know though.
Look at Columbus as an example though, where like they made these trades so that they could take David Clarkson's salary off their hands and protect another guy. I think in retrospect, there's a lot of these teams, even the Ducks, that, we made trades to save defensemen, traded them, Shea Theodore, who's a good defenseman for them, to pick Clayton Stoner. Like, I think teams now are just going to say, you know what, screw it. We're just going to let it ride. Pick who you're going to pick. We're not making you any deals to make you somehow better on the long run, just to fleece us.
Here's the question though, when it comes around again, and this comes down to integrity of the league and the owners. Sure, it would be easy for the GMs to close rank, but let's be honest about it. They aren't the ones that make the final decision. It's going to be the owners. Do the owners look at it and go, there's all this money here and blah, 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 and if we close you know what I mean? I mean, it would be very easy for them to just go, let's just do it all over again, because who cares?
Well, I know.
And to be honest about it, like it or not, these guys are getting attention from places that they probably wouldn't normally pay attention to hockey. Now, whether it sticks or not is another story entirely. But if you're the league from a publicity standpoint and you're the idiots that seem to run this whole show, you're going, this is great. Look. And I don't think anybody understands. Maybe this is something that I've been trying to articulate that I can't get out right. I don't think anyone understands how bad this is for the league long term. Because
it's terrible for the league long term, and that's what I said. This league sacrificed the integrity of the sport because, look, what was one of the reasons given? Like, even when we thought that Vegas was going to be paired with Quebec, right? And even when we thought that, the market mistake that is Vegas will be paired with the solid bet in Quebec, even then, we were saying, yeah, but should the NHL really be expanding to 32 teams? Is that going to be good for the game? And the answer was no, ideally no, because, talent depletion is real. It is a thing. And we are at the point now where potentially why stop at 32, Mm-hmm. Why, there is the formula. I mean, the big thing, look, there's always going to be bored billionaires who want to spend their money on something, and professional sports is an attractive thing. But until now, you could never guarantee them anything. You'd be like, oh, well, maybe if you're smart and you hire the right people, maybe you can build it into something. But
in 10 years,
but now, the NHL,
everybody's going to expect that this is going to happen for them.
Exactly. And not only will people expect that, but they will expect it, and they will offer the NHL $500, $600, $700 million for the privilege. And why would the NHL turn it down?
Here's another thing.
If Seattle comes in here.
Well, look at it like this. Let me at least get this out before I forget.
Sure.
What happens if, maybe this builds a fan base in Las Vegas that sticks, and maybe they become a very successful market. What happens if you do all of this for, say, a Seattle, and it doesn't work? And they come in expecting to be competitive and expecting to maybe not make the Cup finals, because, I mean, even the most hardcore Vegas fan has to go, yeah, we're on house money at this point. But what if they come in expecting we're going to be competitive and they're terrible? What if they're Columbus Blue Jackets and their inaugural season terrible? What does that do to the market? Because they're expecting, no one's coming into it looking at it like we're not going to be good. So we need to build a fan base slow and steady. Build a slow, steady foundation, which is, the ones that last, and they're terrible. Then people go, well, this sucks. I don't want any part of this. And that's that. They walk away, and you've lost them forever, I think. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think there's a real possibility.
There's several things like that. It's either, every team henceforth, we'll expect that sort of thing. Like, what happens if, and on the flip side, what if Seattle does come in? And they are just as good, and they make it to at least the conference final, let's say, right? Like, when we talk about the league's credibility, if it happens once, maybe you can just write it off as a fluke, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just all this confluence of the perfect storm of shit came together teams were stupid. The draft rules were good. They found the right coach. The GM made the right moves. The players worked hard together and all that sort of stuff. It all came together in one big, burst of lightning that is this Vegas Golden Knight. What happens if it happens again? And then you can no longer say, well, once isn't a fluke. It's happened twice now. Would that not just kill the league's credibility even further?
Sure.
Like that's why one thing McCarthy said too that kind of stuck with me too is that the league saw how bad the 2000s expansions were because those were a little bit of an overcorrection from the Panthers, Ducks, Lightning, Sharks none of them were truly, they all had kind of rough early seasons, but they
got it together relatively quick.
Right. They became competitive quickly. They weren't the absolute worst. They were okay pretty soon. Whereas Atlanta, Nashville, Minnesota, I guess is the exception, Columbus, they were all garbage because they kind of tightened things down and it was a quick expansion with harder rules, and so they sucked. So the league overcorrected because they said we can't have the Thrashers or the Blue Jackets happen in Vegas because it won't work. So they overcorrected. Now do they have to, we're going to have this expansion, I think they said 2020, I think is when it would go through, 2021, something like that. Mm-hmm. They've already said they're going to give them the same rules, but you have to, the league can't let this happen again. Unless they're that delusional that they think this is truly the best thing for the sport. Well, to have teams flop in every couple of years and win it.
Then it goes back to what I said a couple of weeks ago, where we've got the 50-team NHL, and all three of us are lacing up our skates to play.
No, honestly, if it ever got to that point, I would be closer to what Mike is saying and just walking away.
But what's to stop? Okay, let's just say that
if you get to that ridiculous point, what's the point of competitive balance or any of it when it doesn't mean anything?
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you can pick up $500, $600 million, okay, you did it in Vegas. It worked beautifully. You go to Seattle, you get another $500 million. It works beautifully again. Well, Seattle needs a rival. Portland's just up the road. Okay. Yeah. Here's a team for Portland.
Houston.
Boy, Columbus, that Columbus-Pittsburgh thing's not the greatest. What if we put a team in Cleveland or Cincinnati? A real Ohio. It just sets so many bad precedents that you just don't want to go there. And it kind of does make the NHL look a little silly, to be honest about it. When the rest of the leagues look at this and go, really? This is like the Browns going to the AFC Championship in their first season. Or the Texans, or the Panthers, and we saw what happened in the NFL. The Panthers went 7-9, made the conference championship the next season. The Jags went, I think, 5-11 the first year and knocked Denver out of the playoffs the next year, and they bombed the Browns and the Texans back to the Stone Age over that shit. They were like, this isn't going to happen again. And I don't know if it helped hurt or what, but all I know is that the NFL.
I think the NFL did just fine there. So,
but you know what I'm saying, though.
But that's the NFL, though. That's not.
I don't think the NFL is going to. I think as long as the money's there, and this, let's be honest about it. When you put a team in a market and in its first season it's playing for the championship, that's going to build a fan base better than anything. There's nothing better than that to build a fan base. Nothing.
Well. To compare it even further, the way that makes this kind of look more like a joke, honestly, if we go at that sort of pace, which I hope to God we don't, but if this does set off a chain reaction of billionaires wanting in and paying the money, the NHL will just fall further away from the big three. It'll get even closer to MLS because MLS has the same problem in my eyes right now. They're trying to catch up to everybody else by putting as many teams as they can to try and get up to the 30 I think their ultimate goal is 40 and you have two separate 20-team leagues. That's like their ultimate goal. But MLS over time has expanded so quickly, and it's different because there's a worldwide soccer pool of players to pick from. And so, you're not going to be up to some of those European league levels, but you're competitive and you're fun and, people come out to see you or whatever. But it comes to that point where the NBA isn't going around for cash grabs, right? No. The NBA's cash grabs are done with events or with TV contracts or stuff like that.
Right.
Things that are business savvy. They're not adding 31st, 32nd, 33rd, 34th teams anytime soon in the NBA because one, they're even more so than the NHL. There is not the talent pool to make it valid in the NBA. I mean, if anything, the NBA could stand some contraction.
I think every single league, every one of the big four can stand some contraction. I've said it a million times.
Do the Charlotte Hornets really serve a purpose?
No, they occupy a market and make money.
They're the Washington Generals. I mean, somebody has to play.
Somebody has to play LeBron. I mean, come on now.
But it really does. It's just this. I don't know if it will.
League in the world. Again, as we've said countless times, right? Only the goddamn NHL. The things that happen in this league would never happen in any other professional, serious professional sporting league in the world.
Well, you're right. I mean,
you wouldn't have this rapid expansion just for money's sake. But you wouldn't have an expansion team going to your fucking championship series.
I mean, how many Vegas fans are out there right now going, doesn't look like it's that hard of a trophy to win to me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the thing, too, is because they've only lost the 3 games. They haven't even faced any playoff hardship.
No.
Everything has been so easy for these people. I don't think they get it. And I don't think they ever will.
But,
at least not for 10 years or so. They won't understand what it means to be a part of this fraternity that we've voluntarily thrown ourselves into.
Well, yeah, they don't know what it's like to get so super excited because your team beat the Washington Capitals the first 2 games on the road, and you're going, oh my God, we might be able to pull this off, only to see reality set in the next game, and you go, yeah, this isn't happening. Just that fast. Or, like I said before, when I was a Rangers fan, well, the first 2 years were great, and they won a cup in '94. And boy, after that, it wasn't so hot, and it hasn't been since. I mean, they made the finals 3 or 4 years ago, and I think who they lose to the not the Blackhawks,
Kings. The Kings.
Kings, right? Yeah. But what troubles me about this is that the NHL, because they can't go for the TV contracts, there isn't a $500 million TV contract out there that I know of. So this is what they do. And this is how they stay at the same money level as, the other 3 big leagues. And that may be quite the same level, but this is how they have to play. Because the TV deal isn't there, but that's their own fault. Quit having fucking lockouts and losing entire seasons or half seasons.
Yeah. Which, by the way, if things go to plan, the Seattle team will come in the year after we have another full season lockout. Yeah. So get ready for that fun.
It's just, I don't want to be like the old, get off my lawn guy thing about, because it's an expansion team and all that, but on the surface, it's fun and it's interesting. It's unprecedented. It's really quite a story, but if you are a fan of the sport, you have to look at it through a little bit more of a microscope and go, this isn't necessarily the best thing for the league, because I don't think it is. Because it just makes it too easy to look at Seattle and go, let's take their money, let's give them a good team, and then, let's say we do have another lockout, which is probably inevitable, all right? Mm-hmm. Now what do we do? What do we do to get, money back, and what are we going to do about fans? Well, like I said, Portland's just up the road. Oh, boy, I don't know. Boy, a team in New Orleans. And New Orleans, that's a nice natural rivalries between the Panthers and the Hurricanes. I mean, it just opens up potentially. I'm not saying it will, but it really opens the potential up to do some really things that we think they do stupid shit now. They could do a lot more stupid shit down the road because of stuff like this. And I just don't think it's good for the sport. It's bad that this team is this good this out of the gate, because now you've got Seattle expecting the same thing. And I can't blame them. I can't go, no, Seattle, sorry, it doesn't work that way for you. What are you going to do? It's just it's ridiculous.
When I first heard that Vegas was going to get a team, it was one of those things where it was kind of like, I knew they were going to be in the Pacific Division, and with it being so close, and I love going to Vegas. I thought, this is going to be a great annual road trip I get to take, to watch the Ducks go play in Vegas, go for the weekend, have some fun, go watch the hockey. It'll be a great time. I was expecting Vegas to be bad, and because I thought that, they came in, it would be a fun place to go. Hey, the jerseys and the logos aren't half bad. Maybe I'll get a t-shirt or whatever. I have a Vegas Golden Knights t-shirt, and I wore it a lot at the beginning of the season because I thought, hey, this is fun. Look at this. Then I think after the first 2 times they played the Ducks, I don't think I've worn that thing in 4 months. It's gone squarely to the bottom of the pile in my t-shirt drawer. It's gone from this thing that was fun and I look forward to this thing that I absolutely hate, and which kind of sucks because I was looking forward to all this stuff, and now as a Pacific Division fan, I just got to hope that my backup prediction of, well, they're not going to last, this isn't going to last next season. They're going to fall apart next year or in 2 years. Just you watch. This team's going to collapse. I just got to hope that the Cinderella castle comes crumbling down on itself and they go back to being what they should have been the whole time. But here we are.
Mike, do you have any more you want to yell about?
Like I said, I'm done.
He's done.
As the Admiral said so poetically in the thread too, right as the game ended yesterday, dumbass joke of a league, fun's over.
Well, I don't know. It's just not a good thing. It's a fun thing from a casual fan standpoint, but if you care, and I think as fans of any sport, I mean, you want to see your league do well. You want to see it do smart things. You want to see it do things that solidify it and put it on solid footing. Yeah. I don't think this is one of those things. I mean, like in baseball, I want them to do the right thing, the smart thing. In hockey, I want them to do the right thing, the smart thing. In the NBA, I don't care. They're going to be fine on their own. They don't need me. NFL, same thing. NASCAR. I'm a big NASCAR fan. I always want the sport to do what's going to make the sport healthy. And I don't see as handing out these teams and going, here's your free ticket. And if you're lucky, not that lucky though, but just a little bit lucky, you can play for the Cup in your first season. That is not how you build a healthy sports league. I'm sorry. And going back to the whole thing, I mean, they expanded. Oh my God. It seemed like they were just teams left and right for 20 years. The Ducks, then the whole thing, it was too much.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. So I think this has probably been the most divisive hockey issue too. Yeah. Like you go anywhere online and there's no kind of like playing the field. There's a whole bunch of people saying this is great. Why are you guys hating on this? This is great. This is amazing. And again, I wish I could be one of those people, but I'm so much in the other camp of, this sucks. This is bad for the sport. This is bad for the league. This is embarrassment. All the frustrating sour grape stuff that we have. And people are picking sides on this and really kind of setting up their walls and their artillery on it. That's what also isn't good for the sport is that it's making us all angry at each other.
Well, I'll be honest. I'm not even angry about it. I think part of me thinks it's kind of cool. But the person that's been a sports fan forever and forever and forever looks at it and says, you can't look at it at the surface and go, wow, this is great. Because if you really are a hockey fan, and there were some people in that thread that I just said, you know what? You guys just don't like hockey. It's that simple. That's your problem. You just want to hate on hockey and you don't give a fuck how you go about it. But if you want the sport to succeed, and I do, you got to look at this and go, this is not the way you do this. And again, the ramifications, is it going to have any impact this year or next? Probably not. But if you're thinking 10 years down the road, the potential is there for this thing to really go off the rails in a lot of bad directions because of shit like this. And that's what I don't think a lot of people understand. When you say, I don't like this is bad, it's goofy, it makes the league look like idiots. They don't get that part. They're thinking about it today, right now. What it looks like today is it looks like an expansion team might win the Cup. And sure, that's fun. That's cool. That's like Major League, the movie type stuff, but 10 years for the health of the league, not the best thing. I don't think. I could be wrong though, but I don't think it's the best idea.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know.
But before we end on it though, so now they're in, and they're either going to play our Capitals,
they're playing Tampa.
Yeah, let's be honest about it.
Here's my favorite
again.
My favorite Capitals fact that I wish I had known before we started praising them after last week. Did you see this number? Their record after being up 2-0.
I saw.
No, I haven't seen. I don't know this fact. Tell me.
All right, so the Capitals.
Yeah, this is good, Mike.
After they have taken a 2-0 lead in any playoff series,
Mm-hmm.
the Capitals being up 2-0 in every game subsequent to that 2-0 start, they are 14-44.
Jesus.
How do you do that?
I don't know, but they do it.
When you're up 2-0, that generally means you're the better team. You know, you look at all the statistics when teams that are up 2-0 win, what is it, like 86% of the series they play in?
Mm-hmm.
But the Capitals are that other 14%.
They're the 14%, right.
They're the ones skewing the statistics.
Look at this team, though. Look at from the start. Okay, we did our playoff preview, right? And Zach was on board with the Caps. I kind of wanted to be, and Mike's like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And then they go out and they totally Washington Capitol up the first 2 games against the Jackets. And I'm like going, oh my God, they're going to do it again. And they get up off the mats and they win that series. You go, okay, well, that's fine. And I still think Ed Braden Holtby started that whole series. The Jackets probably never get the 2-0 lead. Whatever. You go, okay, fine. Then they finally, after how many, 20 tries, finally get past the Pittsburgh Penguins. You go,
and that was a battle. And they did what they normally don't do. They were up 3-2 on the road in Game 6. They were up, then they went to overtime, and as soon as it went, we were doing the podcast at the time, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yep, okay, well, the Capitals are going to do it. They're going to lose in overtime here on the road, and then they're going to go lose at home against Salmon. That's what they do. But they didn't. They reversed their whole mantra. They won on the road in Game 6 against friggin' Pittsburgh of all teams.
Yeah.
And then they go in those first 2 series against the Lightning and they're blitzing them.
Oh.
It's like they finally, like the reference or the metaphor I used was the Penguins valve on that pipe was so locked tight for so many years that when they finally broke it open, they burst the pipes.
Oh, yeah.
And they shot it all out at Tampa. And then they got back to Washington, and the sphincters closed up.
I don't know what – I mean, it was like 2 different teams. Because we talked about it. We're like, man, the Caps, wow. It's like, what happened to the Lightning? Jeez, and forget it. Now, I've been watching the game on the side. Is there a score yet in this one? In game
0-0 end of the first.
So, I mean, maybe they pull off what they did against Pittsburgh, and maybe they do it again. I don't know, but
yeah, they'd have to win on the road here in Game 6,
and then get it to Game 7.
Tie the series to go back to Game 7. Yeah,
I don't have a lot of faith.
But again, 14-44 after having a 3 or a 2-0 series lead.
I mean, they literally
how do you do that?
They literally could be the 14%. I mean, it could be entirely them. That whole 14% that don't win if they're 2-0 lead could be all Capitals. Simple as that. It's just crazy. It's just, I watch it and after the game 4, I'm like, oh my God, they're doing it again. How could you finally get past the Penguins?
Man.
What happened? I don't get it.
I don't know, man. Again, Vegas Golden Knights fans, please look at the Washington Capitals.
Yeah.
Please understand what you are doing and compare that to what everyone else over history has done.
Yeah, and if
I hope that there are a good majority of those people that are going to these Vegas games that have some sort of agency about them that can look at the context and be like, this is stupid. We shouldn't be doing this, but hey, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
As opposed, but I find that there's a lot more of, well, you said we couldn't do it. Well, look at us. We're doing it. So fuck you. And it's like, all right, well, or you're just having a good time, whatever, guy.
Go look up Pittsburgh, Washington. If you really want to get historical, look up Boston, Montreal, and get some perspective on this. Do a little study on one of I would say, most iconic franchises in the league, in the Toronto Maple Leafs, and their frustrations at not having won a cup since 1967. Mm-hmm. Look at, we can go on and on and on.
Yeah. Could you, of all the teams that we make fun of for choking or, being who they are in this league, I don't know if I could live as a Washington Capitals fan on any sort of regular basis.
It's either got to be them or the Sharks, because that reverse sweep was
But the Sharks came back a couple years later and they made the finals though, so you got to give them that.
Yeah,
they
only to
win.
get bitch slapped by Pittsburgh.
Right.
So was that really better?
Well, that's what they've been gunning for forever basically, and they finally broke through. So
as bad as the Sharks are in that regard, the Capitals still have the title.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
right? I'm sure there's no Shark statistic where they're up 2-0 in a series and they're sub 500 by 30 goddamn games.
Okay, what about up 300, up 3-0?
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, okay, but
that reverse sweep though was something. I mean, we talked about it back then. I always say there's a point in every series like that where you go, yep, it's gotten away from them. And I don't remember what it was now, but I remember pointing it out what was in this happened in this game. It was like, it's over.
I just remember following it on the boards when LA made it 3-1 in Game 7, and Zach, you just posted, oh no.
Yeah.
But yeah, being a Capitals fan's got to be terribly frustrating because they're really good.
Always. Yeah.
I mean, I think,
I just want to say, when I was saying don't do it at the start of this whole thing, just saying.
Yeah, well, I can't help myself.
Maybe they got past Pittsburgh, but they're still capitaling it away.
Dude, I wish I could tell you that.
But when you said don't do it, we all thought for sure that, I jokingly picked them to beat Pittsburgh this time, but it was kind of like, I mean, eventually, and if I'm wrong, who cares? But they did it, and so it's kind of like, oh my God, they did it. Maybe this is for real.
Yeah, this is the time where you go, this is actually the year. This is the time they're really going to do it, man.
Yeah, because if there was a time for them to do it, it was this time, but man. I really don't think I could be a Washington Capitals fan at this point. But, well, you know what? I don't know how Washington fans as a whole kind of live at all between
them and the Nationals, man.
The Nationals, the Wizards, the Redskins. Ever since
the Nationals are basically the Major League Baseball version of the Caps. Great regular season, get into the playoffs, and you go, what happened?
Yeah.
I mean, the Redskins have won, I think, 3 Super Bowls, so there's that. But those were all in the 80s.
But they haven't won in a bit.
They haven't done anything in a while.
They're not going to do anything so long as Dan Snyder owns them, and he's not going away anytime soon.
Yeah.
So,
and I don't know. I mean, I think for the Wizards to get back on track, they need to go back to being the Bullets, because the Bullets actually have a title from, what was it, 77? No, 79?
The Bullets won it during the miscellaneous decade of the NBA.
Yes,
where all the miscellaneous teams won.
Yeah, that one decade where if you weren't the Lakers or Celtics, you were allowed to win. And then,
I'm pretty sure if the Raptors were around in the 70s, they probably would have won a title.
Oh, sure, everybody. They were just handing them out. Kind of like the Golden Knights now. It's just like, here, have a title this season.
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyway, so do the Knights punch the ticket and take this thing all the way? I think not, because I think we still have the issue of the Eastern Conference being better. I think. Maybe not. Because we've seen it happen. We saw the Purds get there last year and lose, and the Sharks, and when's the last time a Western Conference team won the Cup? The Blackhawks.
Chicago.
Right? Yeah.
Chicago.
Are they the only Western Conference? No, the Kings. I take that back. All right, the Kings won a couple in there too. So I don't know.
And then the last team before the Kings or Blackhawks was the Ducks in 07.
Yeah.
Or I guess no, technically Detroit was still in the Western Conference the last time they won.
Well, all this is their fault.
That would have been 08, right? When Detroit won?
Yeah, because the Ducks won in 07, then Detroit won in 08. They played the Pittsburgh the next year, and then Pittsburgh won, and then and we got the Kings and Blackhawks back and forth.
This is all Detroit's fault, by the way, every last bit of it. It's all Detroit, because if they had just stayed in the Western Conference where they belonged, none of this happens. None of it. Simple as that.
Yeah, actually. Yeah, because then we'd have no reason to balance out the league.
Yep. They could just shut their mouths, because let's be upfront about it too. They're a Western Conference team. That's what I've always known them as. And maybe they were in the East before that, I don't know. But to me, the Red Wings need to be in the West, because that's where they belong. They're not in the East. I don't want them in the East. Get them the hell out of here.
I don't know, Mike, do you still think you belong in the West?
Toronto?
Yeah.
Was Toronto in the West too?
Toronto was in the West. Yeah,
Oh, that's stupid.
They played the Kings in the Western Conference Final.
Oh, that's
sorry.
Yeah.
The
But I
Campbell
thought that was back when.
Final.
Yeah, I thought that was back when it was like it wasn't like geographic so much as just.
It was geographic though. Like they called them Campbell and Wales, but
right.
It was very much still East and West.
Yeah, because that's what you want, is not to confuse people.
But
yeah, the NHL is good at that.
I do kind of like the idea of like a division that's like Toronto, Chicago, Detroit, Minnesota, Winnipeg, and St. Louis. Like that kind of does seem nice to me, but I don't even care anymore.
Yeah, you're not paying attention. Well, see, that's the thing though, folks. We got a Canadian guy here ready to walk away from hockey. That I don't even know how you can't describe that. There's no comparison to that. There just isn't one.
Look, baseball doesn't do this to me. All right.
It's because the Jays aren't good enough, Mike.
Well, no, I'm saying like I don't expect the Jays to win the World Series, but at least baseball's not gonna, put like the Vegas Slapjacks into the World Series in year one. So,
I guess the only thing that's equivalent would be like the way the Marlins won their couple World Series.
Yeah, but
even then, that wasn't right. That wasn't.
But they didn't. That's the thing. And they didn't hand them those rosters.
No.
They didn't go here's your expansion draft, Bobby Bonilla, and
if anything, the way the Marlins did it is harder.
Yeah,
because they had to do it all over twice.
Yeah, really.
They had to do it twice, and there's no salary cap in baseball, so they had to contend with like the Yankees.
Yeah, I know that. What was it that last time they won it in 2003 or 9? I don't remember. Was it 3? Yeah. 2003.
I wonder.
That was bullshit.
I'm sure somebody's done it somewhere. Maybe I'll look it up. But I wonder if there's some way to like make the equivalent of what the NHL expansion rules were and like apply them to the other leagues.
Oh, I bet you could.
See what kind of team you can make. I really wonder, like, if there was a way. I know it's different because of the positional differences and all that, of course. But like,
well, no, but we could get like a baseline of like, okay, this is the level of player you could take.
Yeah, like I guess you would have to say like you have to protect your top 2 starting pitchers, I guess.
Right.
Like if you had a team that drafted the best number 3 starter from every team in the league, that'd be an okay
pitching
good.
Staff. They'd be shit. Would I rather have 5 number 3 starters or like a 1 through a 5? I think I'd take 5 number 3s and take my chances.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know.
And then you pick out the guys that you fill out the rest of the lineup.
We should sit down, maybe for next week's show we can try this. We'll sit down and try to come up with a way to do like an expansion draft to see if we can recreate this in the other leagues. I'll bet you can't. Maybe you can, I don't know, but
it'd be hard. I mean, yeah, it'd be hard to kind of.
So anyway, let's close out the segment. Do they take it all the way or don't they? I think yes.
Man. See, the thing that really pisses me off about this too is I'm going to be in Vegas on June 8th. So I swear to Christ, if like I'm just like I tried to do the math in my head today when I was looking at the calendar, and if there's some like outside chance that I'm there because I'm there for an entire weekend. I'm there from a Friday to a Monday.
You could be there when they win the cup.
I could be there when they're doing the damn parade.
Oh boy! Now I know they're going to win it. Now I know they're going to win it.
Oh, I would. I don't know.
Now I know they're going to win it. I think they punch the ticket and take it all the way because an absurdity of this magnitude it has to go all the way. It can't be. You can't stop it at this point. It has to finish.
Well,
it has to go through its natural course.
If they play Tampa. From what I remember, both the game they split the 2 games against Tampa. I think they both went to overtime, and they were some of the more exciting games of the regular season overall. So it could go back and forth, or it could just keep going.
Mike, are you going to go to if Tampa makes it? Are you going to go to any of the games?
Depends if I'm able to get tickets.
See,
possibly.
He's not backing away. Look, I just tricked him. You see what I just did there?
Well, look. If I am offered tickets to the Stanley Cup Finals, what am I going to say?
Well, hold on. Is who had the better record, Tampa or Vegas? Do you remember?
I think Tampa.
I'm not sure.
Let's find out real quick here.
Yeah. Because that depends on my next question depends on who would have home ice.
All right, let's see. No, fucking. Why is it so hard?
Why is it so impossible to find the fucking standings on the NHL's website?
That's what I was trying to figure.
No,
they can't even get a fucking website.
It's been widely proven around NHL parts that the league has the worst website of all websites.
Hey,
okay,
what?
Tampa would have home ice advantage.
Tampa, we have 54, 23, and 5. They had. See the points.
So okay, so if Mike, if it's Game 5, Vegas is up 3-1, and you have the opportunity to see the Vegas Golden Knights win the Cup.
You know what? If that happens, I will have an emergency I need to tend to, and thank you for the offer, but I have other places that I need to be tonight.
This is precisely why this will happen, because both of you have a chance to be there when it happens.
Oh my gosh.
That's why I think now I'm positive.
Do you want to do a miserable Bass on location special, just like boom, like we're first gonna go to Mike on location as the Golden Knights have won the Stanley Cup. Yeah, it sucks. Everything sucks.
This is why I'm positive
Here's
it's going
Gary
to happen
Bettman.
now.
I'm leaving. I'm leaving before I punch someone.
I am positive they're going to win it all now because of this, because both of you have a chance to do it.
Now we're going to go to Zach on location at the parade.
Kill me. Kill me. Quick check-in on the National Basketball Association.
Oh, yes. Do we like the Warriors in 4 or 5 to win the whole thing?
Well, it's in 5 because to win the whole thing, you mean?
Yeah, the championship.
Oh, 5, I guess. Well, right now, the Fighting Bostons, they were up 2-0, and then the Fighting LeBrons won a game. So.
And now the Fighting LeBrons are up at halftime.
Oh, there you go.
I didn't even know they were on tonight. I'm watching the hockey game.
Cleveland leads Boston 68-53 at the half.
So Boston destroys them for 2 games, and everyone says, "Oh, is LeBron gonna? This is the end. We're not gonna get the thing." And again, the NBA, you're so funny. You're so funny. Oh, look, we have drama. Waits a week. Oh, we don't have drama.
Oh, well, anyone could win this. Inevitably, welcome to the NBA Finals.
They're kind of like
State Warriors play the Cleveland Cavaliers.
they're kind of like the Capitals in that respect. It's like they get your hope built up, and they're like, "Oh, that's right."
Yeah.
I don't know. I still think if I had to pick right now, I still think Boston probably wins the series. I mean, I know the Fighting LeBrons are going to probably tie it at 2, but they got to get one on the road. I don't know though, man. When he decides to go into FU mode, you just kind of have to just stand back and marvel at it because there's not much you can do about it.
Yeah, but again, the Warriors are winning the championship, right?
Yeah.
For
a minute, I thought, hey, maybe Houston can pull this off. That ain't happening. Ain't happening.
No.
Not in a million years.
Not even slightly.
No. So we need another era like the 70s with the random championship era to come back.
Yeah, just give
me a reason to watch. That's all I'm asking.
Charlotte
for.
Hornets, your 2019 NBA champions.
I just want a reason to watch. It's hard for me to care.
So after Houston, had that huge, impressive, Houston, they play the Warriors close game 1. Game 2, they win 127-105. Like, oh, maybe Houston, they could break through. Game 3, no, Golden State 126, Houston 85.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You want me to be a fan, and this is what I really don't understand, are all these people that talk about how great the NBA is. I suppose if you're a Warriors fan or a really optimistic Celtics, Cavs, or Rockets fan, it's probably a blast. But other than that, what's the point?
The other thing is, once we got past the having the argument of people saying, "Oh, well, this is great," and then people saying, "But it actually isn't." Oh, but it's great. Then once we got NBA fans in any discussion to accept the fact that things are predictable, then the fallback argument becomes, well, what? You don't want the best team to win? If the best team wins, that's what happens. The best team wins, best talent. And it's like, okay.
No,
yeah,
I don't want that.
Like, not really. Yeah, so you don't like it when the best team wins? I mean, sure, I guess
I don't
but
like it when your boring ass league is predictable.
If the best team is a different team every year or two, sure, that's fine. But when it's so, I mean, my God, when's the last time we were unable to predict the NBA Finals?
What's this going to be? You know, I know it's not official yet, but I'm just going to call it. What's this going to be? Like, what, the fourth year in a row of Celtics? Not Celtics.
The Cavs Warriors?
Cavs Warriors.
Yeah,
be the
fourth
one, right?
time, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually, I don't think the Lakers and Celtics ever played 4 straight times in the 80s. Because I know Houston would drop in there every couple of years, and that's the thing too. You know, fuck you, Boston Celtics, because here's the thing: you only beat the Lakers once out of those 3 championships you won in the '80s. So go fuck right off with all that. But
didn't they play Phoenix too at one point? Like Phoenix had a surprise showing in the '80s at one point.
I don't know. It was all it was the Sixers, the Lakers, the Celtics, Rockets, and Detroit Pistons.
Pistons near the end.
Yeah, and that was it. Basically, but for some reason it was more fun than this is. I don't know why, but it was.
Let's. It's not even, again, forgetting the fact that it's 4 in a row for this. It's 8 in a row for the team that has LeBron.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, to win the Eastern Conference, all you simply have had to have for the last 8 years was LeBron.
I don't know. Do you think if he went to
my fucking Raptors just decided, like, oh, we're playing LeBron. I guess we're just not going to try.
I still don't get that. I just don't get that.
It's like, as you were right, Greg. As soon as they saw Cavs penciled in for the next series, they were just like, let's just, why even bother?
Yeah.
Oh, Greg or Mike, I think I heard you misspeak there. Where are the Raptors from?
Toronto.
You mean Lebronto?
Oh, no. Yeah, I just saying, NBA, give me a reason to care again. I guess it's not like I'm not crazy about basketball, but I'll watch it if it's good. But I just don't see any reason for me to watch the Memphis Grizzlies play the Portland Trailblazers. I don't see any. What's the point?
There's that, but now we even get to this point where normally I've always said, okay, at the very least I'll watch the finals because it's the best of the best. I don't want to watch this again.
No.
I really don't.
No.
Especially because 2 years ago when the Cavs won, it was, yes, they really had a puncher's chance, and that was an amazing series. It really was.
Yeah.
But all the Cavs have done has gotten worse, and the Warriors
added Kevin Durant and broke the league.
The Cavs the Warriors at worst have only been the same over the last 4 years. Yeah. So it's kind of like, sure, they're not getting better, but they're definitely not any worse than they have been.
I'm not certain that if you combined the Celtics and the Cavs, they can still. I still think the Warriors, they might not win the series. They take a couple and maybe even win it. I don't know. That Warriors team is really good. God, they were so good when you add Kevin Durant on top of it. You know, come on. That's like if the Lakers had picked up Larry Bird when they had with Magic and Kareem and James Worthy. And we're going to throw Larry Bird in as the other forward. It's like, what the fuck's the point in even showing up at this point?
The Kevin Durant the whole Kevin Durant thing's what finally turned me off to the NBA for good, because that more or less nuked the balance of power in the West.
Oh, yeah.
Because at least you could rely on the Thunder to maybe give the Warriors a run for their money.
Not anymore.
Nope. Now it's just now. It's just, which is why LeBron going to the Lakers wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, because someone else in the East would be allowed to win.
Yeah,
and, maybe the West would be competitive again if LeBron is in the same conference as the Warriors. So
I don't know. I think he's probably going to leave after this, because, like I said when we talked about it a couple weeks ago, this is starting to feel an awful lot like it did the first time around, where they're throwing good money after bad, and they can't seem to come up with any kind of cohesive philosophy to try to build a team. It's just like, get guys that will help LeBron, and I don't know if that's the best way to run a team to begin with, but I think if he goes, I don't know, the Lakers, or maybe he decides he's going to go to the Knicks. Maybe the Knicks going to run at the Eastern Conference for a while. Who knows? Hard to say. But
yeah, and
he'll go somewhere.
again, like I wish we weren't in the position of ragging on the NBA every time that we do bring it up, but like
that's not ragging on it though. It's a fact. I mean, there's nothing. I can't change the fact that
it just keeps happening.
Yeah, what are we supposed to do? Lie?
Yeah.
You can't. I mean, look, we can sit here and go, "Oh, it's so competitive," and not one of our listeners is going to believe us. First off, because A, they're not stupid, and B, they know us too well. So this is the way it has to be.
But
Sorry.
you know, I've tried to wade into that NBA thread a couple times during the playoffs to voice this, and so has our trusty Admiral.
Yeah.
And all we ever do is just get talked down by the NBA folk, particularly the DG Nows of the world, and it's just
Well, I think DG Now was actually interested in the hockey game.
Yeah, well, he bought a Vegas Golden Knights hat. He said,
I don't know if that's enough to counteract the fact that both of you might have a chance of being there.
By the way, I did the math, and if the Cup final starts on Saturday, like I think it will, then I will be there. I will be there after the series is over. So the best I could hope for is the parade.
Okay, well, all right.
So
that's a little better, I guess, but
parade it is.
But no, I went into the NHL.
Do they do the parade in the middle of the day or at 2 a.m. in the morning? What do you think they'll do?
I do it at 2 in the morning, but that's just me. But no, I just want to
shut down the strip for however long they have to do the parade, though. God.
I'm going to laugh if they win the cup and they engrave Vegas Golden Knights on the cup and then they end up losing their name in the trademark dispute after all this. They have to go back and chisel over it.
Well, I was watching a thing on the cup the other day. It might have been on before one of the games where they were showing all the names and stuff on it. And I guess somebody's dad or something got his name on them. They just went and X'd it out, right?
The Oilers snuck somebody's name on. I think it was the owner's dad or something like that. And they snuck his name on the cup. Nobody realized it until afterwards, and they couldn't just redo the damn thing. So
they just put a bunch of X's over his name. Yeah.
Oh sure. There's one of the Bruins cups is spelled incorrectly.
Yeah.
It's Boston, but the O's are Q's.
Yeah. For one of the most hallowed trophies in all of sports, that thing's kind of, it's just, it's funny, all the stories you hear about it and,
things like somebody putting the wrong name on there and doing it afterwards. I see how that happens. But if you're the engraver, how do you mess up O and Q?
Twice.
How do you mess up spelling Boston? It's very phonetically sound.
Right. No, yeah, but okay, maybe you missed the first though, but you missed the second one too? Come on.
No, the Cup has had a lot of weird shit happen to it. One of the early Cup champions, the Ottawa Senators, the original Ottawa Senators, at one point, one of the players punted it down the Radio Canal.
Yeah, they tried to kick it over the river.
Someone else on the team was questioning his football kicking abilities. He's like, "Well, I'll show you," and just punted it.
That's what I mean, man.
They left it at the bottom of Mario Lemieux's pool overnight.
Yeah, Mark Messier left it in a strip club. It's like this beautiful, great trophy, but it's just got this really fun history behind it. Getting kicked across rivers and left in pools and all sorts of crazy shit.
At one point, the Cup handlers lost track of it, and it showed up a day later in a parking lot.
I think it was
just in a parking space in a parking lot somewhere.
One of the early, I think it was Rangers teams. Mm-hmm. The bus broke down or something. They all got out of the bus, and they had to wait for the thing to be fixed. When they all got back on the bus, they left the cup on the side of the road.
Right, that's what I mean.
They drove away and they're just hey, did anyone grab the Stanley Cup? What?
I think for every year that they've been awarding that cup, you can find at least one story like that from every single team that's had it. I guarantee it. That's what's cool about it.
It's become more tame in recent years with the rise of social media and stuff.
Yeah.
The protectors of the cup have been a little bit more strict about that sort of thing. But, it still has well over 100 years of, this is the 125th anniversary of the Stanley Cup, I guess.
Yep. 1893.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I've never seen it in person. That's one of the things on my bucket list is to take a look at it.
The first time I ever got to see it up close, well, I think I saw it once as a kid, so I didn't really get it. But like, I saw it a couple times right after the Ducks won, but they didn't do it properly because it was kind of weird. But 2 or 3 years ago or so, when they were doing Teemu Solani's jersey retirement, they organized a thing where you could get like up close and personal with the cup, and so I was able to when you're able to like see it in well lit environment, and I was able to go up and like I asked them like, is there a limit to what I'm able to do with the cup? They're like, well, you just can't lift it over your head. So I was like, so I can touch it now, and they're like, yeah.
Oh wow.
Could I kiss it? And they're like, yeah, sure, why not? So I did both of those things.
Cool. Yeah, I've never seen it in person. I would love to.
It's quite shiny.
Yeah, it's just you know, I mean, it's just one of those things. It's like it's just got the, you know, the idea that it's a Stanley Cup, I think, is a bigger deal than the fact that it's just this trophy.
Yeah,
but you know.
It's a celebrity.
Now, do they? And we can end the show after this. But when I know that there's the one Stanley Cup, okay, but like if you win, do you get like a replica of it to keep, or does it just always move around?
They've started giving players mini replicas. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It's the same thing like with all the end of the season trophies, the Art Ross,
right.
You know, all those sorts of things. They've always given players miniature replicas of those. And I don't know when they started doing it for players, but it's not relatively recent. It's been around for a while. But
I mean, like say if you walk into the Edmonton Oilers offices or whatever,
they will have mini cups.
They don't have like 4 exact replicas of it or anything, or 5. No. I guess would be 5.
No.
That's too bad.
No, they don't.
That'd be kind of cool.
And of course, in Canada, every Easter you can get a chocolate one.
Absolutely, I still have mine, Mike. By the way, I never ate it.
Yeah, mine's still in my fridge.
Nice.
Yeah. I've been waiting for the day where the Ducks were going to win it, but you know, we keep unlike Vegas, we keep throwing our heads at the wall.
Soon here, that thing's gonna give you food poisoning if you eat it.
My grandpa told me the same thing. He's like, you know, you should probably just eat the thing. It's probably stale by now. I'm like, no, it's on principle.
No, it's been refrigerated. It's fine.
We're gonna wrap it up, folks. Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports. Subscribe via iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, and the YouTubes. And you can find us on Facebook. We will see you next time.